Hey guys, it's Jen and I'm here to show you a process video using the Ali Edwards Digital Stories by the Month kit for April 2018. And what I'm doing is I'm using a mixture of digital products and physical products. And what I've done is I've printed a photo. This is spring at my house yesterday. And what I wanted to do was have my title be right on top of here, but I wanted to pop it up. So rather than trying to figure out a difficult way to do that, like maybe doing a print and cut with a silhouette or something like that, what I did was I just printed out my photo twice, printed it and cropped it smaller here. And what I'm gonna do is just kind of hand cut around this and then line it up on the photo and pop it up. Now I could just leave it a square, but I don't think that's gonna look as cool as if I kind of cut out around the words. So that is my plan. And then I have this paper from Maggie Holmes' new line from crepe paper called Flourish, and I'm going to use this because it says the flower district on it, and so I thought that would be nice. And then I've also printed out, these are some of the digital chipboard elements from the kit. They're just circles. One says Bloom, April, Ugh, and this one says Crazy Weather. I changed the color on it and the letters aren't super visible, so I don't know if I'm going to use that one. But my plan with these is to punch them out, and then I'm going to back them on cardboard. This is just a thin chipboard, and I'm going to cut it out a couple of times and put these on it so I can make my own chipboard embellishments. And then I also have a variety of stuff from old Ali Edwards story kits that I might incorporate as well. And then I have a cloud punch, which I thought would be nice to include on here. And I have some different like vellum pieces that I might use to punch some clouds out. So that's where I'm going to start. I'll tell you more about my story as I go along, but I'll go ahead and put you on fast forward and you can watch the process.
So I'm basically going to start by trimming down my photo. Now I printed it on an 8.5 by 11 piece of glossy photo paper, and it is 6, well I think maybe it's 7 by 10. I wanted to make it large enough to fit on an 8.5 by 11 paper because that's how large my printer prints, but I wanted to make it big enough so it made an impact on my 12 by 12 layout. So what I'm doing now is I'm using my close to my heart little scissors, they're micro tip scissors, to trim out the title here. Sorry for my hair, it is out of control and I keep leaning over. But what I'm doing is I'm going to cut out with a little bit of a border each one of the letters, and some of them will be like hooked together. So the word my and the Y from way are all connected together, and what I did was I stuck them up on some foam tape so that they popped up a little bit, and I just tried my best to line that up on the tree. And now what I'm doing is I'm punching out the circles from the printable, or that I printed from the digital chipboard set, and I'm using actual chipboard to make my own chipboard shapes. And so I punched this particular circle out with a pinked circle around it, and I just kind of brought it close so that you can see that it has that dimension. Usually I like to do 2 layers of that chipboard, but because of the pinked edge, the edges of that fold down just a teeny bit because of the way that the punch crunches down on the chipboard when I punched it. So I just decided to do 1 layer. And so I'm also doing this little one that says Ugh, and then I will do the one that says Bloom as well. Oh, the one I'm doing is Bloom. The Ugh one is coming. And what I was doing there, and I've done this in past videos as well, is I was just using this old rub-on tool that I have to kind of smooth down the edges, and it makes it feel like it's really glued onto that piece of chipboard like a real chipboard sticker would kind of be. So here I'm using some vellum and a cloud punch from, I think it's from EK Success. I'll link to all available products in the video description as per usual. But I'm just punching some out, and I thought I could make all the hearts or all of the clouds the same size, but I decided that I didn't want to do that. So what I did was I'm going to use the punch for the clouds that are going to be in that text print, and then I'm going to hand cut some clouds out of the vellum. And it's hard to see them kind of on camera here, but they have like a nice little impact in real life, and it's very subtle, but it's pretty, and I like the clouds because Clouds kind of denote the weather, and that's kind of what I'm talking about, obviously. And even though, so this page is kind of conflicting. There's snow, but there's flowers, and so I will end up putting butterflies on this layout and clouds and kind of making it look shiny even though there's snow. And then I'm also going to do some white splatter, you'll see in a little bit, to mimic the snow. And in a minute here, I will read my journaling to you so you kind of understand what the gist of this layout is really about. But right now, what I'm doing is kind of playing around with the embellishments and seeing where I want to put things. In a second here, I'm going to go ahead and put this through my We Are Memory Keepers typewriter to type up my journaling. And because that fits a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, I was able to just stick that pattern paper in, which was really nice. And so I'll really quickly read that to you. I'm just marking where I'm going to be able to type. So there it is, all typed up. And as I'm gluing down my photo, I'll go ahead and read that journaling to you. So it says, yesterday I woke up to some spring snow, and as I walked to my car, I noticed this little tulip struggling under the weight of the fresh powder. Quite a rude awakening. Over the course of the day, I kept thinking about it and got a little introspective, as I tend to do. And I have to say that I can so relate to this small flower. Just when conditions seem habitable again, and it peeks its head out of its winter hiding place to say hello to the world, something happens. The snow comes to test its strength, to give it a cold, hard dose of reality, as if to ask if it can handle this life. Well, guess what? This morning, the snow was gone, and my little tulip warrior was blooming, head held high. It endured, and so will I. So I'm just kind of talking about, well, you just heard me talk about it, about how even though sometimes you're just getting brave enough to like peek back out at the world, and then something happens to kind of throw you off a little bit, you can endure. And that was a good reminder for me that day that I needed to have for myself. And so you just saw me using the photo that I cut the words out of to kind of place the words back onto the tree. And as I mentioned, I popped those up on foam squares. You can see all the pieces that I peeled the backing off of on the right hand side there. And now I'm just kind of arranging and playing with the clouds. So the bottom half has the journaling, and then there's about the same amount of space on the top for the clouds to go. And originally I thought I would either place the photo closer to the top or closer to the bottom, but it just ended up working to center it, and I really like the way it turned out, actually. So I'm stapling on that little circle, and I wanted to staple it sideways, just so that the staple ran horizontally across the top of it, but my stapler wouldn't fit that way, so I did it vertically, and I really like the way it looks. And so that's something I might try again soon. I don't know, I liked the way that it kind of hung off it, and you'll probably be able to see that in the close-up photos at the end. And I'm using my gold stapler that has gold staples in it. And now what I'm doing is I decide that instead of just having the clouds at the top, I'm going to have them come kind of diagonally across the layout. So you'll see they're going to start at the top left, and then your eye travels down through the title and that UGG embellishment, and then down to the tulip, which is that bright yellow, so that kind of pulls your eye in, and then down to the clouds and the other embellishments over there, and then, work your way to the journaling. So it's kind of drawing your eye that way, and I like the way that looks. And here what I decided to do, I was having a little bit of a conundrum on how I wanted to attach the vellum. I had already stapled some of the circles, and so I didn't want to staple the clouds as well. And what I decided to do is just stitch them down. And so I'm going to use some white embroidery floss, and I'm just going to put an X in each one of those little clouds. And so I'm using this old Amy Tangerine little pad and little poker tool that came with one of her stitching kits that was from a collection from who knows when, but I just kept it around because I love it, and it's just really easy to use. And so I'm just poking the holes there. You could of course just use any, like a needle or any sort of piercing tool for this. And I'm not going to adhere the clouds at all. I'm just poking the holes, and then I will stitch them down. So this layout was actually pretty quick to put together. The part that took the longest was cutting out and putting down the title, but I really like the way it ends up looking. And I'm sorry for the glare because I have that glossy photo. It just kind of works out that way. So I am, like I mentioned, just stitching an X inside each one of those clouds, and I'm using the full 6 strands of that embroidery floss. I got it a little bit tangled and I decided to skip ahead so you didn't have to watch me do every single one of those clouds, but I really like the way that this ends up looking. It's just a really simple detail and it draws your eye to the fact that those clouds are there, because some of the just the clear vellum ones, they are very subtle, and so I'm really happy with the way that turned out, and I'm just trimming off the excess there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with these butterflies. Now, I bought these butterflies and my friend CJ made fun of me so hard because she thought they were the ugliest thing she had ever seen. And I could see somebody saying that. They kind of look old school, but I love butterflies and I think that these look super cute. These are from K & Company and they're puffy. They're so puffy and they have a little bit of glitter on them too. And I think that they work really well here. So pairing something like this that's pretty ornate with something very simple works very well to me anyway. So I'm just placing 2 butterflies at the top, and then I want to place 3 down here at the bottom. So I have one by the journaling, so that kind of draws your eye down there, and then I have one I have the other 2 nestled in between those circles, and then up at the top I've got them kind of in and amongst the clouds. And what I decide to do as well is add some of these Ali Edwards white phrase stickers, and I'm going to add them in 3 different places, so one with those butterflies at the top, some in the, or I guess it's not one, it's 2, and then 2 in the middle cluster of clouds, and then some, I think I add 3 at the bottom with those butterflies. And I just like the way that just kind of adds a little something more. I love text. There's text on the clouds, there's text with my writing at the bottom, and then there's text in these little word stickers, and I really like them. The other thing that I want to do is I'm going to add in, like I mentioned, some mist. So I will add in, first I'm going to do this Heidi Swapp Gold Color Shine, and if you haven't heard, it is being discontinued, so that freaked me right the crap out. And I went to all of my local stores to see if they had any, and no one did. So I think I have 2 on backup, so I will probably be okay, but man, that scared me. And so I'm gonna buy some if I find any. So I'm just sprinkling that around. Now it does get onto, I purposely put that on the photos because I love the way that the gold looks when it dries on the photos. And here I'm using some Tim Holtz Distress Stain or Distress Spray in Picket Fence. And that's what I'm going to use for my white, but I'm letting my gold dry a little bit first. And here what I'm doing is I'm looking through, these are from a Physical Stories by the Month kit. I think this was the March kit, and they're the chipboard stickers, and I'm just trying to see if there's somewhere that I can add another little something. And I decide instead of adding any of those things, I'm just going to stamp the date there. So I have this roller date stamp, and I'm just going to stamp it in that kind of peachy color, that dark peach of some of those butterflies. And so that's Hero Arts Fresh Peach Shadow Ink, and I stamped that on the side, and that's going to finish it besides these white paint splatters. So here's some close-up photos coming. I hope that you have enjoyed. I hope that you'll try using these kinds of techniques on your hybrid layouts. I love being able to add something like that onto my pages. As I mentioned before, I will link to all available products in the video description, and thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.